All right, well, welcome back to the Tool World podcast. Here today we have Master Malafite as well as Master Jew. They're both joining us here today. Master Malafite, he's the head instructor of All Star Taekwondo, and Master Jew, well, you guys have seen him many times before from our podcast. And today they're going to talk a little bit about the IIC that the US ITF is going to be hosting upcoming in this November. So, Master Malafite, we'll start with you there, sir. Where and when is this IIC happening?
So the event will be held in Fairfield, New Jersey, and
Beautiful Fairview.
beautiful,
Yeah.
scenic Fairfield, New Jersey. Um, November, I believe it's 15th through 17th as far as the classes are concerned. So it's a Friday night. The IIC would be from 6 to 8 p.m. And on that evening, the actual kickoff for the IIC will be held at my dojang. So as Mr. Zhu said, at All Star Taekwondo. And then on Saturday and Sunday, the event will be at the hotel in Fairfield, New Jersey. And typically between the hours of 9 a.m. and I'll say between 2 and 3 p.m. So 3 days as usual, 2 hours the first night, and then 6 to 8 hours the next 2 days.
Now, I did get a couple of calls or emails or communication anyway about the Friday night. Some people thought it actually was only for color belts, and so that's a mistake, right? Or it's a misunderstanding is what it is. It is the actual IIC. What we have done is we've opened Friday night for our color belts so that they get an opportunity to work out with Grandmaster Nichols and Grandmaster Wheatley. So I think that portion is going to be more fundamental, maybe a little bit more fun. I'm not sure, but for sure probably can cover four directional punch and block.
Right. Yes, sir. I mean, you look at I guess you could also just look at the GUPs who register and then kind of go from there as far as content. But that is an expectation that the black belts who are attending the course will be there as well.
So far, we only have one.
Right, yeah.
One GUP. I'm assuming we'll have between 5 and 10 at least.
Whose idea here was it?
To do the
IIC.
The last IIC that I had hosted was in 2005 in Atlantic City. And that was a really special, I feel, IIC. We had over 200 people in attendance. There was a great energy level. President Che was elevated to 9th Dan during that day. We had several high-level 7th and 8th Dan promotions that day. So it was a really special occasion. And, I have definitely been thinking about doing one. I don't know that I was thinking about doing one this year until Master Jew really kind of helped prod that along. And I would also say along with Master Gagan, kind of prompting the need for a US ITF organized IIC. Number one, just something that definitely needed to be done by our organization. But number two, having a lot of higher ranking black belts that may have needed the course to meet the certification requirements. So, but I would say I definitely wanted to do one, but Master Jew, Master Gagan prompting along and helping out made it a lot easier decision.
Well, I have to admit, I've been wanting something to happen, and normally, Master Malafite, you bring out Grandmaster Wheatley for a seminar yearly, and I just felt like, we need to do an IIC. We haven't done one in the United States as far as US ITF is concerned. We haven't done one in some time. So I just felt like we needed to keep our members up to date or to get together.
So I guess this one's for kind of like Master Jew. So Master Malafite, his last IIC was back in 2005.
Right.
But now we're in 2024. So there are a little bit differences between the IIC, right? And so when we're hosting it this time, what should people be expecting that is a little bit different? And obviously we're offering a little bit different things too, like virtual. So can you go over that a little bit?
Right. Yeah. Master Malafite would probably say the same, but we've been to a lot of IIC. I mean, I think it's important that people do it. Sometimes I find people say, "Oh, no, I've been to one. It's good enough." And it's like, "Oh, okay." No. And I do remember, attending an IIC with General Che and the things that he covered, but mostly the patterns, really. And I think the objective was a little bit different. Obviously, back then, we didn't have a lot of high ranks, and he was really trying to get people to understand the technical details of the patterns or Taekwondo in itself. So a little bit different. Today, look how many masters we have. Look how many grandmasters we have. Look how, it's just, we've come a long ways. And so there are a lot, I would have to say, I think there are a lot of people that are very knowledgeable in Taekwondo. So no disrespect to anybody. And so I do think that the IIC has changed a little bit in that way. And so how many times can you do 4-directional punch? Like on Friday, we'll be doing that a lot. No, I don't know exactly. It's up to Grandmaster Nichols.
Until everyone gets it right, sir.
That's right. Until everyone gets it right. So I think it's changed. And some of the IICs that I've been to, you've seen a lot of different things. Self-defense, you've seen like Dalian, you've seen some stretching, you've seen patterns, of course, is part of it. We've seen more recently, though, I think, is more that history of Taekwondo. I mean, that was more like online, and that's something that you can see online. That's something that can happen online, where maybe the technical part of a pattern, or if you need a partner, that's going to be a lot harder. And so that's kind of what I've seen. What do you think, Master Malafite? What's your thoughts?
I agree, sir. And having attended several of the IICs, I think functionally, you definitely touch upon those fundamental exercises, those patterns. And then a lot of times it's really up to the people presenting, what's their agenda. And sometimes that could be based on what they saw. We're also having a high ranking grading Friday prior to the launch of the IIC. And so you might have, Grandmaster Wheatley does this often, where he'll take a look at a grading and he'll pick out things during the grading that he sees certain people may need work on. And then without calling those people out, might address those types of concerns. And yeah, sometimes I've seen the sparring piece, especially with like 3-step, 2-step, 1-step, or prearranged sparring, covered a little bit more. And then the self-defense aspect covered a little bit more. For me personally, what I think and I don't know, Mr. Ju, if you're going to get to the question, why should people attend?
Yeah.
Is that a question that you're going to get to?
Yeah, of course.
I'll hold
Go
off
ahead and answer that. Yeah.
All right, then I'll segue right into it. And that's number one, it is largely based on who's presenting it. So our students train with us all of the time. And, even having Grandmaster Wheatley once a year, like Master Ju does, Master Van Zyl does, I do, it's still only once a year. Maybe if we're lucky, twice a year. And for those who travel, train with him or assist him, maybe that becomes 2 to 3 times a year at most. It's still not a lot of time, even for a master. Everybody needs that person above them to help guide them and clarify things. And so, I think that it's based on the presenters. And to have Grandmaster Nichols, coming from the United Kingdom, based on his position within the ITF, I really think it's a unique and rare training opportunity, not just for the people who have to take an IIC to check a box for promotional purposes, but for the actual more important piece, which is learning and updating and looking at, what changes have been made, as rare as they may be. And I do think that it helps people define. And so one of the points that I was going to get to on this question is, why should people attend the IIC? If people aren't staying current in regards to their training, then, you may have some people who still perform certain techniques certain ways. And, we may not like to say that they're wrong. They may have been taught that way originally, but there might have been a modification, an enhancement, if you will. If in the past, if you took a pattern, say like a horang, and your back foot is stepping up, and some people have the ball of the foot on the floor and some people have their heel on the floor, what's the right answer? And the IICs help to standardize. They help to answer those questions of, if there's a technical question that someone has here, you can hear it from not only Grandmaster Nichols, but the founder and president of the USITF, Grandmaster Wheatley. So here you have, in my opinion, two of the foremost experts in the art being able to share their experience, help with standardization a little bit, but standardization also comes with understanding. So almost like, Tool World would present like, well, why would we do something a certain way? And I think that that's why really people of all ranks should attend. I think that it's based on the opportunity to train with that particular presenter, in this case, two of the foremost grandmasters. And then I think it's to stay current with anything that was changed, So when was checking block in a pattern moved to stopping block in a pattern, or what was the purpose behind that? Whereas if you don't go to an IIC and you haven't done that for a long while, and you come in and you do stopping block where checking block should be done, it's kind of like, well, you haven't stayed current with the why, with the methodology, with the reasoning. Some of the other things too, like in a Moon tool, right? So when we're doing a high side piercing kick, does this punch stay the same, or now is it reaching the target more like a side fist based on the trajectory of the kick? So are you able to answer that as a fourth dan or above? And if the answer is, well, I'm still kind of punching this way, or based on the height, if this is already high section, how much distance should be between the fist and the foot? Those things could all be answered at an IIC, or at least explored. Or even if it couldn't be answered, I know I've trained with some high-ranking masters or grandmasters who have always said, hey, if I can't answer that question, if that's such a good question, we'll go to the source and we'll get that answer for you.
That should always be the case.
That's it. I agree.
I think that one of the things that you mentioned is that it is for everyone. I think sometimes we get a lot of people say, "Oh, what is the IIC? International Instructors Course?" And so then some people think, well, it's only for instructors, right? It says, well, not really. I think that terminology is really wrong today, because I think that originally, I think what General Che was trying to do is get his instructors in lines, make sure that everyone, all the instructors around the world were doing basically what he wanted him to do. And I think that's still the case. I think sometimes you have like a first dan saying, well, I'm not an instructor. Well, you are in some ways, but that's not really what this is all about anymore, I think.
Enhancing their technical proficiency,
Yep.
regardless of the rank. And then even if it does help them from a teaching perspective, if you're in a sizable class and a first dan is asked to help the green belts, shouldn't they be able to do that with confidence, as opposed to, well, I'm not an instructor. Well, wait a minute, you're a black belt. So, you should be at least able to teach, even if you held to like 2.5 under, you should still be able to teach a green belt comfortably. You should be able, again, some of us may feel you're a black belt, you should be able to teach red belts comfortably, but again, there should be a degree of confidence, and the IIC will give students that kind of insight. Plus explanation from another source. We're so used to hearing things. Our students are so used to hearing things from us. I just like to mention for a quick minute, Master Batch. And Master Batch has a very unique way of teaching. And sometimes he brings explanation to the table that some people would have never looked at something that way. And all of a sudden they're getting it better just because of the way that someone explained it.
Mhm.
Sine wave being referred to as kinetic linking may take someone's mind off of this really big dipping motion, down, up, down. And someone might just say, hey, it's really more about utilizing knee spring to maximize the power of all of your techniques, as opposed to it making it look too much, right? And sometimes you just need to hear that from somebody else.
Okay, I guess to wrap it up, so we are offering a virtual portion for the IIC, which is kind of something new within the last couple years. Maybe Master Yu, could you go over what makes our virtual different, or what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so there have been virtual IICs, and recently, I think Grandmaster Nichols did one not too long ago. Maybe it's been a year, I'm not sure. And he did it out of the Dojang, which is a closed environment. It was really set up for virtual, and that's
It was
great.
just strictly virtual
Strictly
for
virtual.
during code 2020 and 2021.
Right. And that was a great seminar. I really enjoyed it myself. I enjoyed it because he did a lot of mostly patterns, right? Because when you start doing self-defense, you need a partner, or you're doing step smart, you need a partner. And that's just kind of hard to do. And so he did mostly the patterns. I really enjoyed it. He went through a lot of the patterns and explaining the techniques and so forth. And I really enjoyed it. More recently, I saw a lot of times what we're doing is we're doing a live IIC, but there's that virtual connection. And what I've seen lately has just been a camera's been stick up, a camera here, a camera over there, and so forth. And we kind of do stuff a little bit differently. If you've been to some of our Tool World seminars, our camera is actually mobile. So we can kind of get in a closer view, get a different angle, and hopefully a little bit better audio connection as well. Because when you've got a computer hooked up as your virtual, how good is that microphone? It's not too good. You kind of have to be kind of close. And so I think that's the main difference that we're doing with our virtual.
Right.
But it's better to have you come in,
Yeah.
The other thing that I would recommend too, and I know some people may think of this, but if people are geographically in an area where they can get together and train together virtually, there is something to be said about an energy level at a dojang. So if there's a dojang that could be a host dojang, and people from local geography can kind of get together there, especially under the leadership of an international instructor or master instructor, where corrections could be made, on the spot within the group. But then there's always that group energy level there as well. And I would just implore, unless it's a time where everyone is sitting down, or there's that history piece maybe being discussed, I would implore that people not take an IIC sitting down. Don't take it lightly, but don't take it sitting down. Do the work, train along with us. Whatever modality there'll be, chat boxes or whatever, ask questions. We'll do our best if people are asking questions online to answer them as if they were there. That's a whole other thing, because I think sometimes people online feel neglected if it's hyper focused on the people who are in person. So engage. If you have a question, technical question, ask. Don't just be silent. Take the IIC sitting down, check the box that you took it. Do the work.
And don't do it in your
Like
bed.
I'm doing.
All right. So any final thoughts there, Master Ju, on the IIC?
No, really. I just we look forward to having everyone there. It's been a while I think it's been a while since we've all gotten together in a while, as far as the US ITF. And by the way, this is open. This is open to independent schools that may not be affiliated with the ITF, but they are doing ITF patterns. I mean, what a great way to see what an organization can do for an independent school, or people that are in a different organization. We want a bigger community, and we want to be able to share ideas. I mean, that's what Taekwondo is, really, isn't it?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And maybe people that are independently doing their thing, and there's no one really above them. An IIC is a great opportunity for them to, I don't want to say like receive correction, but I do want to say like
ideas.
Enhance, let's put it the right way, like enhance what they're doing, or provide them with ideas, or even if it's learning new teaching methodologies that they could take back to their school. I can comfortably say there are several independent dojangs who will be attending the IIC. So instructors, even if they are from other ITF lineages, and I'm not going to say other ITFs, I'm simply going to say if their lineage was different. Some people who trained with different founders or different members of the original ITF demonstration teams, for example. They may have been taught one way, and this may open their eyes, or just like General Che always said, this might also kind of make them feel comfortable in what they've been passed down and what they're teaching. So it may solidify their views, but it may also enhance something that they're doing. And there's definitely, from the US ITF perspective, Phoenix Group perspective, there is something to be said about all of us training together. You know, Mr. Ju, you may see it more from the team side, the competition side of things. You know, those groups are getting together, they're having their, you know, their team workouts, even, you know, during this event, or I know we have one coming up October 5th, I believe, at Mr. Liesa's school. But I mean, that's one thing. This is another opportunity for, you know, black belts, and again, GUPS for that Friday night, but to get together and, you know, I don't like using the word compare, but I do like using the word push. Like, push one another, elevate one another, train with one another, inspire, motivate. Think about those words. And that's, to me, what the IIC should be. We should all feel good, like we're doing the same thing at the same time, like, and you know, that vibe just builds and builds. And like, I like looking to my right and seeing Master Ju working hard, and then it makes me want to work even harder. Like, you know,
Right.
well, if I want to be like that, I have to train like this. And if that goes on every level, then this thing becomes like a hum that can't be stopped.
Thanks for sharing your guys' thoughts, Master Malphite, Master Ju. We will see you guys in November at the IIC.
Sounds good. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. We'll see you guys soon there.
Tech
Thank
on.
you, Tech One.